me how to say ladies and gentlemen in gender-neutral terms.
Hey, yo. Hey, yo. Hey, yo.
Steal a line from Rai Jones, which is something that I was already saying, but he put a better spin on it. Something, never say never. There's Bruno, there's Brett, there's Mr. Brooks. CM Punk returned to the WWE after a great show, I thought. And it figures that I tune in, everybody is only half-ass paying attention. But we'll talk about that in a second. CM Punk returned. A lot of people are mad. A lot of people are happy. We're going to talk about all that. We have Badass in the room. I hope she's still hanging on. We have Rai. We're going to be nice to each other. Sarcastic, but nice.
It's wet.
Yeah, you're right.
Omega
Screw
with
you
the
guys.
Omega with the people's eyebrow. I love it.
I was talking more about the chat, not me. Mountain Dew Zero, which is just like Melio Zero. It's excellent. But I can't get either now. So I'll just, go fuck myself. Yeah, why is this not like full screen anymore? This is bothering me. But anyway, it's nice to I'm always nice. I don't know what you're talking about. That's not true. So here we are. Another what do I want to say? Another never say never moment that was absolutely broken in the snap of a finger. We played coy, we played stupid. I don't believe any of we never discussed anything ahead of time. I know people will say I'm wrong, but I just refuse to believe that this wasn't planned as soon as that dude left. We're going to talk all about it now. CM Punk is back at the WWE. So I'm going to go to Chris first because he just told a funny story of how he thought he wasn't coming and he missed the whole damn thing until we were chatting in Messenger. So he had to go back and watch it. Chris, Phil's back.
Phil's back. Yeah. For the people who weren't here, yeah, I was suckered by the Randy Orton celebrating. Their all faces are celebrating in the ring, and the logo comes up, and it's like, okay, it's done. So I turned off, and as soon as I turned it off, and the messages started coming, and I'm like, God, that's why I had to, scramble back, rewind it on Peacock. Fortunate, got there, but so I did see it. Hell hath frozen over, as they say, and CM Punk is back after almost 10 years. So it's an interesting choice, the bold strategy. But judging by the roof coming off the place, I will say that probably at least a short-term good choice. I think, he's, say what you want about Phil Brooks, but he knows his value. He knows how, and he's a skilled worker in a number of ways. You can take that. To command the attention of the populace in this day and age, the way that CM Punk does, is an incredible feat. Now you can argue about him personally, and you can certainly argue about him professionally. But there's money to be made, and CM Punk went after the money, and you know what? I don't know if it was WWE approached him or he approached WWE, but either way, they're together again, and I would imagine they're probably going to make a little bit of money. I imagine T-shirt sales picked up this week.
Yeah, see, the thing is, and he said it on when his appearance on Raw. He said, "I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money." The thing is, CM Punk doesn't need the money. When he left WWE the first time, he was fine. He's smart with it. He had many outside ventures outside of WWE. He's been successful in other media endeavors on TV and movies and such. And again, he was smart with his money, so he wasn't broke. And Tony Khan gave him a buttload when he was spent a year in AEW. So again, it's not I obviously WWE, gave him a pretty penny to come back to the fold, but it's not like he was destitute and needed it. This was more of a he still got a lot left, and what makes CM Punk such a valuable commodity is because you can just have the guy on the air just to talk for 5 minutes a show. He doesn't even have to set foot in the ring, and you'll get monster ratings. And so when he finally does set foot in the ring, hopefully on a pay-per-view or a premium live event, it'll be a huge deal. And that's the beauty. That's why where people are upset. I don't see any downside to CM Punk being in WWE. I don't know anyone. I think anyone who was upset that he's in WWE either doesn't know the full story of why he left in the first place, or believes everyone that AEW says that he was the problem over in AEW. Like, I really don't know why everyone isn't happy that CM Punk is back. And who wouldn't be happy that he's back, unless it's people that are afraid of their spots, or CM Punk. And the reason why CM Punk left in the first place is what pissed me off. When CM Punk was the World Heavyweight Champion for more than a year and a half, Rock comes back, and next thing you know, CM Punk's out. And it's Rock versus Cena at WrestleMania instead of CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan or somebody else. You imagine being the World Heavyweight Champion in the WWE, you never main event a WrestleMania once, and you were world champion for 2 years. CM Punk has a legitimate gripe for why he left. But if anyone has a problem with him now, I would think it could be someone who thinks that they're not going to get a main event slot now because it's going to be taken up by Punk. And if you're an LA Knight, that might not sit well with you, or Gunther.
Yeah.
But other than that, as a
yeah.
fan, I don't know why you wouldn't be happy that CM Punk is back.
We'll get to that in a second. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're spot on, Greg. I mean, if you're a Gunther or an LA Knight, I think you're like, well, okay, I didn't get my trigger pulled yet. Now Gunther has got a good thing going. LA Knight's got a good thing going. So they're not in too bad shape. But yeah, if you're looking for the next WrestleMania person, knowing that probably Cody and Roman are going to take up at least one night, and you're looking to be on that first night, who's the biggest beneficiary of this? Probably Seth Rollins. I mean, there's a very real chance that Seth Rollins, as World Heavyweight Champion, wouldn't be in the main event of WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Or unless it was a double main event, but depending on what the other matches are. But
yeah, and WrestleMania is 2 nights, so you have a main event night 1 and main event night 2. So Seth
right.
could main event night 1, and Roman could main event night 2.
Absolutely, and that's the question mark is who gets that first night. It usually does it go to Becky Lynch again, or who knows who comes back in the next 6 months, or 5 months, I guess.
Cough Brock Lesnar.
Cough Brock Lesnar, yeah. Cough Sasha Banks.
Cough Dwayne Johnson. Yeah.
Dwayne Johnson. Exactly.
Dustin just asked, when do they start 2 nights? 2020.
2020. Yeah, it's been a while, Dustin.
They started during the pandemic. Welcome to 2023.
Yes.
I'm kidding. Did you know Dustin was Canadian? I didn't. I mean, apparently he told me, but my brain broken. Shout out to Alberta. They started in 2020 during the COVID year, and they've kept it. And man, what a decision! I know that's still controversial, but holy crap, my WrestleMania nights being broken up, and of course it's in Philadelphia this year. I'm very I'm not complaining.
And yeah,
Complaining.
well, and not just WrestleMania. They have SmackDown will be on Friday, NXT on Saturday, nights 1 and 2 of WrestleMania, and then Monday Night Raw, all in
Raw.
Philadelphia. For that 5 days.
Markamania.
Yeah.
I can't be around that many of you people that long. And I mean wrestling fans, not you, Craig. I'll be around you every day.
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people? Stinky wrestling fans.
Yes.
Wear some deodorant. God damn it. Spend the money on the deodorant, not the fake belts, for God's sakes. Dustin is asking the professor, not Mike today, Craig Lagans, if you would mind also stalling because we do have another gentleman joining us in a few minutes, supposedly. Why he left the WWE in the first place, the short version, and also update us. Take us through the timeline why he left AEW, because I like your side of the story, because you're the one that filled me in on the shit I didn't know.
CM Punk was the longest reigning WWE champion in more than a quarter century. His reign was 2 years, but he was in like the 700, 800 day range, and they were counting it down because he was so dominant. But Rock came back, or wanted to come back, and they saw Rock versus Cena as a WrestleMania main event instead of Punk versus Cena, or even Punk versus Rock. So the belt was taken off of CM Punk and given to Rock in order for Rock and Cena to have the main event. So that didn't sit well with Punk. He also had a problem with the medical staff of WWE. He was checked out for, I believe it was a shoulder injury he had, and the medical staff said, "Oh yeah, you're fine." And he went and wrestled on it, and it got worse. And I think that's where he tore either his tricep or his bicep, or he was in so much excruciating pain he had to be taken off the road while he was in the middle of a program. And so he had a problem with the medical staff misdiagnosing him and causing him to lose months of action and money. So, and just the way he was kind of deregulated and seen as a troublemaker because he brought up these mentioned this to the higher ups. He was fired on his wedding day, which also
you need time to consummate.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm not defending WWE on it. I'm kidding.
Yeah, but that's why and when he left, he was the company continued to screw with him. AJ, his wife, was the longest reigning women's champion of all time at the time. And once she left, they decided to give that record to Brie Bella, of all people. As
I forgot
kind of
about that.
Yeah.
Nikki, wasn't it?
Who was who?
Who? Nikki, wasn't it?
They all look the same.
They give a flying shit. Neither one of them are wrestlers. But the point of it was to screw with CM Punk. That was just another dagger. And even when they chanted CM Punk's name at house shows, even on Raw, they
I don't know if you guys know this, but Vince is really petty.
Yeah. Now, Vince, to his credit, when he appeared on the Stone Cold podcast, he did in fact apologize when Austin brought it up. He apologized to CM Punk for firing him on his wedding day. He still claims that he had no idea that it came down, even though he makes final decisions. But the date, he said, I didn't have any control over, but it happened to fall on Punk's wedding day. But he did apologize for that. Because
you shot a guy. I'm sorry I shot him.
Yeah, I'm still shot.
Yeah, you're still shot.
Yeah.
That is one that my dad used to tell me for the most simple shit. So I take it with me everywhere.
Yeah.
That shuts it down. Anyway, go ahead.
And according to Vince and even according to Punk, they never had an issue. It was always Punk and Triple H that were the issues, because when Punk was relieved of the belt, he didn't have a match for WrestleMania, and Triple H wanted to wrestle him because this is when Triple H was in his phase of let me come out of retirement and wrestle whoever is the hottest person in the company now. Remember when Triple H wrestled Daniel Bryan and then Seth Rollins, and
I remember.
and he wanted to be on CM Punk, and CM Punk famously said to Triple H, "You need to wrestle me. I don't need to wrestle you." So that's what left him off of WrestleMania that year. I still think Punk should have been the one to break the streak of The Undertaker if it was going to be broken. In New York, when Punk came out to a live version of Living Color singing Cult of Personality, would have been the perfect way to do that, is after he stole The Undertaker's urn and he and Paul were playing catch with it, that kind of thing. But Punk was never happy towards the end after he was relieved of the title, the way he was booked and the way he was used, despite being a huge draw and merchandising and everything. So that's where he left. He, like Bruno, like Brett, hell, even Hogan, there was bad blood and pettiness, like you said before, with Vince and how he was treated after he left. But Punk went about it. They stuck at the Punk. WWE did, but Punk never said anything bad about WWE. He let his feelings know while he was there. Didn't say anything after he left. Tony, and even he came back. Remember when he was on remember when WWE had their talk show?
I remember that, yeah.
On
He
Fox
did.
Sports 1.
Oh yeah, the Fox
with,
one, yeah.
Yeah, with Booker and Samoa Joe, and there's Punk showing up. He and Joe together again for the first time. That was fine. There was no problem there. He didn't have any issue with anyone.
And it was the talk of the entire business for that week, the weeks he was on.
The only time Fox Sports 1 that show even had ratings was when Punk was on.
Yeah.
And before I get into AEW stuff, I want to say to all the fans who don't know or think that Punk is a problem, CM Punk was in the WWE for 11 years, not one backstage fight with anyone. Not one. Let me preface that by saying, again, CM Punk never got into a backstage fight, brawl, dust up with anyone in any WWE locker room for his entire time there. Not even in NXT. So, flash forward to 2021. A young Tony Khan sees that CM Punk is available, would be open to talks, and he did. He gave Punk a whole lot of money, and what do you know? All in Chicago, where AEW started, and there's speculation that CM Punk is going to be there. So much so that they said, hey, yeah, CM Punk's going to be there. The very opening of the show, Cult of Personality, first time anyone's seen CM Punk in a wrestling ring at this point. It had been 6 years or 7 years, and the place goes nuts. What do you know? They're throwing babies in the air. Punk comes back in Chicago. Walks around the ring twice, comes back in the ring, kneels down, he sits in the crisscross applesauce and speaks his mind, and we're hanging on every word. After one of the pay-per-views, I think it was All Out, after his feud with MJF, he talked about all the people he wanted to work with. MJF, who else? Who did he work with? Powerhouse Hobbs, who said Punk taught him more, since he's been there than anyone. And he even got to, talked about his family, and, they got very close very fast. Ricky Starks was another one that Punk wanted to work with. Got all the people that he wanted to work with. He even got his own show when AEW went to Saturdays. That was Punk's show. He got to book it. He got to put actual wrestling on that show, working with the guys he wanted to work with, namely FTR, that he was friendly with before he left, when they were all in the WWE together. So it was a wrestling show, and all the comedy and all the foolishness could be on Dynamite and Rampage with Omega, Young Bucks, Orange Cassidy, and, the comedy boys. Punk, after his feud with MJF, I think that was that All Out afterwards.
I don't even remember anymore.
Well, the post media scrum that they now, which is a thing, which is really,
I think it was all out, and yes, it
All
is
Out.
annoying.
After a 5-hour pay-per-view that starts at 7 and didn't end until after midnight, there's a post media scrum So it's 1, 2 a.m. because Tony kind of has to talk for an hour first without saying anything, and then he brings out the wrestlers. So Punk came out bleeding, hurt. He had a torn tricep he didn't know he had at the time. And one of the people asked him about Colt Cabana because Colt Cabana had been on social media bad-mouthing CM Punk. For those of you who don't know, Colt Cabana and CM Punk have been friends for over 20 years. Colt Cabana was who CM Punk said hi to at his infamous pipe bomb promo in the WWE when he hijacked the end of Raw, talking bad about John Cena, talked about how the company, Vince McMahon's a millionaire or should be a billionaire because he, can't see, the forest for the trees, or cuts off his nose despite his face. And he pointed at John Cena and said, John, I don't have no beef with you. You're a fine guy. We get along great, but you kiss ass more than Dwayne does. That's why you're main event guy. I never got the ice cream bars. I never got, my cover on the WWE magazine. I never got to be in a crappy USA show. When he was alluding to when Cena was on Psych and a couple other wrestlers were. I never get to appear in late night talk shows, but you do all that, John, because you kiss ass more. Okay. And you think everything's going to be fine once Vince McMahon dies. Wrong. Because it'll be taken over by his doofus son-in-law and his idiot daughter. I'm just another spoke in the wheel, he said. And maybe I'll take when I win that title from you, John, in Chicago, I may take it to New Japan or Ring of Honor. Hey, Colt Cabana, how you doing? For wonderful TV, one of the top 10 moments in wrestling history, in my opinion. So, flash forward to AEW, a reporter asked him about Colt Cabana because the Young Bucks had been saying, Colt Cabana was saying to the Young Bucks that CM Punk got him fired from AEW. And Punk, who had enough, said, Colt Cabana was a friend of mine. I helped Colt Cabana out when he was broke. I lent him money. I gave him the lawyer that he needed for his lawsuit. He lived with my mother, but I don't have nothing to do with Colt Cabana getting fired. I haven't spoken to Colt Cabana in 6 years, and he got fired 3 years into his time with AEW. So if Colt Cabana got fired, that's on him. That ain't got shit to do with me. And the fact that I still have to talk about this pisses me off because I work with children. He said, I'm old, I'm tired, and I work with children, meaning the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. So right after that media scrum,
goes, wait, real quick. You know that chapped their ass.
Yes. Harumph. How dare you?
I am not a child.
Touch my pearls. So CM Punk says all that. He reiterates it, how he works with children. He goes back to his dressing room. In his dressing room, he's getting treated for his injury. In his dressing room is Ace Steel, his best friend, who was also the agent on the Collision show.
By the way, calm down, Ace.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but it was
go
Ace
ahead.
Steel, his wife, who's had a broken leg, who's on crutches, and Punk's dog Larry. So
Larry,
both the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega come into CM Punk's locker room. Again, they went into CM Punk's locker room and they confronted him about what he just said. And Punk said, you got a problem, I'm right here. And we don't know specifically what happened. Everything that I know about this is always from witness reports, people that were there but weren't in the locker room. But at some point in the locker room scrum, Matt Jackson got hit in the face with a chair.
Good.
Nick Jackson got hit. Kenny Omega was accosted by Ace Steel, and Kenny Omega received a bite. He had a bite mark on his arm, which is consistent with someone getting you in a front face lock or in a chokehold, and Kenny was bitten on the arm.
Mm-hmm.
But And again, all this with Larry Ace Steel's wife, who's on crutches, was there too. So the only people that know exactly what happened there are the Bucks, Omega, and CM Punk. And Punk to this day hasn't said anything. Might have something to do with the NDA. So the next Dynamite, Tony Khan says that CM Punk, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega have all been suspended. Now, if you're an AEW fan and don't live on the internet, you have no idea why this just happened. CM Punk was the world champion, and the Bucks were the tag team champions, and all of a sudden they're all suspended. And Tony Khan never mentions to the audience why that is. But of course, everyone that lives on the internet knows exactly why. The Bucks come back, Punk comes back. The Bucks make fun of Punk when they can, because Punk tried to buckshot Lariat and he missed it. So Matt Jackson did the same thing, and he imitating CM Punk. Kenny Omega started biting someone who had him in the front in a headlock. Again, poking the bear, teasing CM Punk. They stay away from each other. Even Punk reached out to them and said, "Do you want to? We're all going to be in Atlanta." This is before they went to All Out in London. Do you want to talk? The Bucks attorneys got back to Punk and said that no, our clients don't want to talk to you. Not the Bucks themselves, the Bucks attorney, and sent a notice to Punk that they're not to have any contact with each other.
Thus proving the child theory.
Yes.
Good job, Nick, and what's your name? Fuckstain? Bill? What's his name? Nick and Mike? Fred?
Nick and Maddie. The young
Is
fuck.
it Matt? Okay, you young fucking assholes.
Well,
Okay,
all
sure.
this was happening.
They're like 40 and they're balding, but yeah, they're young.
CM Punk was running Collision on Saturday. And slowly but surely, the people that he didn't want to work with started permeating into his show. I guess by the behest of Tony Khan, he wanted Orange Cassidy on, and he wanted Jungle Jackoff Perry on. And Jack Perry wanted to do a spot on the show where he gets thrown through a plate glass window. Everyone there, including all the road edge, including Tony Schiavone, who was senior member there, said no. And Jack Perry still insisted on doing it. So finally, when Punk, and all this was before Punk got to the arena that night, and finally they all went to Tony Schiavone, among other people, went to Punk and say, he won't listen to us. Maybe you can talk some sense into him, tell him that we don't think it's a good idea for him to be going through a plate glass window. And Punk told Jack the same thing. We don't need you to go through a real glass. I don't even know why you want to go through fake glass. It's not going to do anything, and no one's going to remember this, by the end of the night. So he said no to him using real glass. I think he went through something else, but he didn't want him to do real glass. Cut to the biggest pay-per-view in AEW history, in front of the largest paying crowd in professional wrestling history in London. One of the dark matches was Jack Perry versus, God, I don't even know who the hell it was.
I don't even know anymore either.
One of the Lucha Brothers, let's say. They're having a hardcore match, like all AEW matches are hardcore matches, whether they are or not. And there was a parked car there while they were fighting all over outside the ring. And Jack Perry gets backdropped onto the windshield of the car. Well, before he gets backdropped on the windshield of the car, he slaps the windshield and looks at the camera and says, "Real glass, cry me a river." He said that specifically because CM Punk was the next match up. And CM Punk was sitting in Gorilla waiting to go on watching the match. So what Jack Perry said to CM Punk, "Real glass, cry me a river," that was directed at him. So after Jack Perry's match, Punk was the first match of the card. He comes back through the curtain. Punk sees him and says, "Do you have a problem with me?" And Jack Perry goes, "Maybe I do." So Punk goes towards him. I don't know who swung first or who did first, but Punk got Jack Perry in a front face lock. And they were jostling around. And again, this is at Gorilla. Samoa Joe, CM Punk's opponent, is the one that had to break them up. During this, Tony Khan was backstage too and said something to Punk or both of them. And Punk either got in his face or went towards him kind of in an accusatory manner, saying, "This is all your fault. If you had just said something or something to the words of fact, just get control of your locker room, because this should not have been a thing in the first place. When I told this jack off not to use real glass 2 weeks ago, I don't know why it's a thing now." Punk has his match with Samoa Joe,
which was awesome.
Which was awesome. And even during the match or after the match is over, you can see Punk kind of kissing. It had a final match feel to it. We find out the next day, Tony Khan has fired CM Punk because, in Tony Khan's words, he feared for his safety. He feared for his life. So CM Punk was fired from AEW for his latest, and it was almost a year to the day.
For the latest thing that he was asked to do by everyone who couldn't talk to Jack Perry.
But meanwhile, Jack Perry was simply suspended. He wasn't fired. They fired the biggest star in the company, the only one that was drawing any ratings and the most popular guy in AEW. They fire him, not Jack Perry. And keep in mind, there have been many backstage brawls in AEW. Tony hasn't fired anyone.
Nope.
Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara.
Well, I ain't getting in the way or firing either. Firing Eddie Kingston.
I'm not fighting you.
Because Eddie doesn't give a shit.
But Andrade and Sammy Guevara, Andrade even said that when I get there, I'm going to hit him. Because Tony thought Andrade was trying to get fired so he can rejoin his wife, Charlotte, in WWE, but he didn't fire him. So there have been multiple backstage incidences and no one's been fired. But now CM Punk, the biggest star in the company, gets fired. So the people that
like Tony Khan's terrible at his job.
Yeah, he is. And that's one of the reasons why, hey, maybe that's why Cody Rhodes left. Think about that. He wasn't the first one to leave. Or Jade Cargill. But for everyone who
probably won't be the last either.
And he won't be the last either. But everyone who sees CM Punk as a troublemaker, a guy that just goes around starting fights with everyone, with his like I said before, he'd never had a single fight with anyone in WWE. If he was supposed to be the troublemaker, what happened in AEW was because of Tony Khan in general and the people that he made EVPs specifically. Because at no point should any active wrestler should ever be EVP of the company that they work for or they work with. Giving those guys so much power. And if you're EVPs, this is how you act. You go into somebody else's locker room and there's a fight rather than deal with it one-on-one or even after everything is settled. Punk, I heard what you said. Can we talk about this? And even after that fight, they were all going to be in Atlanta before they went to London. They were in Atlanta for an appearance. The Bucks, Omega, and Punk said, well, we're all going to be there, so why can't we talk? No, we don't want to talk to you.
AEW just is a shit show. Yes,
yeah. And when Tony announced to a live audience that CM Punk had been fired, guess where it was? In Chicago. The day after the biggest pay-per-view, he had to tell Punk's hometown that Punk had been fired. And who do you think closed the show that night, jumping up and doing a victory lap to the half-empty Chicago building? The Young Bucks, crowing and raising their arms in victory for what? That they got rid of the big bad wolf? that now they're safe. You just kicked the golden goose in the ass out the door. The only reason anyone looked at the show to begin with was CM Punk. The reason why people tuned into Raw in record numbers on Monday was CM Punk. Survivor Series is going to do Survivor Series numbers anyway, and it was already going to sell out. But just the idea, the thought that CM Punk was going to be there, that was going to drive up business. Chris, you said it so eloquently. No one markets themselves the way that he does. He is a valuable commodity because of just who he is and how he's presented himself. Wherever CM Punk goes, fans are going to follow. And like I said, he does. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, when you get right down to it, what does CM Punk have? He has the nebulous it.
Yeah.
More than anybody else that I can think of. You know, certainly in the modern era, I mean, you could argue that there's certainly other stars. There's certainly other people, but I will guarantee you, not Roman Reigns, not Seth Rollins, not Jon Moxley, not Bryan Danielson, anybody commands the audience like CM Punk does. Whatever reason. Again, and we can go around CM Punk. Is he the best worker? No, he's not. He's plenty good, plenty good enough. But he's arguably the best guy on the mic, period.
Yeah.
And he knows how to play his audience. He knows how to play whatever. Generating heat. He's got it. He got everyone in the palm of his hand. He knows what to say. He's eloquent. His delivery his delivery style, honed over years, is better than anyone's. Right? Yeah. Just straight up. There sure, certainly everybody's got opinions, but I mean, I'll take CM Punk and the Monk over anyone, and I don't think it's that close, quite frankly.
No.
Eric should be joining us in a few minutes. I just wanted to throw this out there before you finish, Chris. What Ash thinks now that we've laid this all out, which was part of what I wanted to do while I hold the puppy. Everybody, by the way, here's Albert.
Hey, Albert.
Hi. Go ahead, Chris.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, AEW's loss is WWE's game. It was the right time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a new regime in WWE. Yes, the same players, the same faces are there largely, but it's a different vibe, right?
Yeah.
It's TKO WWE, not Vince WWE, not VKM WWE.
They have
right?
actively gotten rid of Vince. They set
Vince
his
is
ass up. They literally, and I was wondering what you were thinking about that being what you do, which I won't reveal. They literally set that man up and then kicked him out the first chance they got. It was one of the most beautiful things. I have no sympathy for Vince McMahon. The guy's richer than hell. He's got more money than God. Have a nice day. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, Vince got himself a sweetheart deal, right? He's got it. He got himself set up, but at the end of the day, Ari Emanuel wants Triple H running the show.
Yeah,
creatively, realistically, yeah.
Ash said the playa got played.
The playa got played. Yeah, Ari Emanuel is not as out of touch as Vince is. He basically says Nick Khan's running the show in WWE. From an operational standpoint, Triple H is going to run the creative style, and we're going to do this the right way. We're going to have corporate governance. Yeah. Shockingly,
well,
Ari
Emanuel is a 79-year-old man, so that's why.
Exactly. Yes, I mean, at the end of the day, WWE, for all it was a public company, was a Vince McMahon vanity project for its entire lifetime. Certainly as a public company. So it didn't matter. Vince controlled all the votes, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen anymore. Now we have big boys. We're playing big boy corporate world now, and that isn't going to fly, right? And this is why if you go into read their financial statements or any of that stuff, they've got all these risks laid out. That's a requirement by generally accepted accounting principles. You have to lay out the risks to the business, and Vince McMahon is a risk to TKO.
Yeah.
Right. So Ari is not going to let anything happen that's going to make that is going to make that happen. Right. He's going to mitigate that risk as much as possible. And CM Punk coming back is really just an example of, we're going to do business, real business. Like, this is what's good for shareholders, what's good for ratings, what's good for the bottom line. And if you want to tell me that CM Punk isn't good for the bottom line, well, you're just not paying attention.
Exactly.
I think part of, and Ash, what I meant was your feelings on CM Punk were clear, and I'm not I'm only signaling, air quotes, signaling out because you're in the chat. To quote Ash, see, Phil Brooks is a poo-poo head. And I'm like, yeah, but it's wrestling. I get it.
He's our poop head.
He is. But I think my point was, and I'm not going to name names, Omega, so I don't want to hear Dan, but I've been holding on to this for 4 fucking days. Let me get this out. CM Punk is great for WWE. I'm chill now, but he got me fired up. He did his job. Now, what I don't like is Ash having her opinion and the IWC treating her as the IWC would, like an asshole, because men are fucking in the IWC are fucking shitty. She's allowed to have an opinion, and Rai, I don't mean you. Yours was very conversational versus most of these a-holes that were coming into her mentions and saying, fuck you talking about? And on cue, 6 minutes past the 5-minute mark, is Derek McDonald.
6 minutes.
I was talking to Tamara. So
I mean, listen, I know. We'll get to you to Derek in a second. Give me a second. I was.
Look how calm your dog is. Meanwhile, my dog is begging around my feet.
No. Don't even tell me that. First of all, this thing bites everything. Albert bites everything.
Okay.
And it's also what time is it? 11 o'clock at night? Almost 11 o'clock. There, see, he just bit me there. I will say this, as a puppy, he's only 9 weeks. He's a very good puppy, but I've never seen Phyllis fight back before, and she has. So they're keeping each other busy, and he sleeps. So, and this is the perfect time for you to come in, because I'm going to fire Derek up on this, and then I want him to catch up with the rest of us. So a lot of people were calling CM Punk a cancer. He's a terrible person. He shouldn't be in the locker room. And I get it. But I think my point was, and my perspective is, that one guy, among others that I've had to deal with, or my friends have had to deal with in wrestling, that were ignored, and, perhaps some physical contact was done and nobody did a damn thing about it. And John Moxley, just a heads up, and I don't care if you kick my ass, I don't really want to hear your opinion on how bad CM Punk is when you're knowingly friends with a wife beater and you know that he did it. So shut up, John. And that's it. But I just thought it was weird. And Ash did not do this. I'm talking about the IWC in general, who were crapping on Phil as a man. Of all of the people in wrestling that have done bad things, why is Phil the one you're focusing on, and not these other fucking assholes? Moose, Sammy, Lethal,
Flair,
fucking Flair. But this is where you draw the line. CM Punk, really? Fuck you. Sorry.
And
I was pissing me off. Like, where was this energy when David Starr and what's the dick flip guy? What's his name? I'm so glad I forgot.
Man.
Joey Ryan.
Joey Ryan.
Yeah. Joey Ryan. When he was raping folks, and you were like, well, let's give it that. Where was that energy? You pricks. Oh no, and Ash, and I'll shut up so Derek can catch up with us.
No, I'm liking this. Go ahead. I'm enjoying it.
I just said as soon as he signed on, Dan was in the middle of a rant, and I knew it was going to happen. Ash brought up a great point, and Ash, I didn't even laugh at you. I didn't even laugh about that because, as you just said, that's the point. I bought into the kayfabe Seth presented. That's what's supposed to happen. Exactly. So people calling you names for that, I'm like, that's the fucking point. They literally drew you in. They drew and most of them, except for the one guy, most of them that was saying all that crap was drawn in too because they're suckers, because they're not bright. Seth pulled, they all knew Seth worked that brilliantly, and so did everybody else in the ring. The Drew McIntyre is that's separate, but WrestleMania in Philly is going to be nuts. But so to Derek, to catch up, and then to the rest of you, Derek, CM Punk's back.
Yep. Why
the hell is he the one everybody's drawing the line on that don't want him in the business? And also, holy shit, WrestleMania.
That was funny. The thing about Seth, I was talking to my son about. That's the same guy. Remember when he got attacked by the fan in Brooklyn and just completely like no sold it and was like, so I was like, so that's the same guy who he thinks going to get irrationally upset and flip him off, and be held back by Michael Cole of all people.
I didn't even think of that, dude.
Yeah, he's cool, calm, and collected. I guess, yeah, it's a lot of women beaters and rapists and con artists, and you draw the line at the guy who wanted everybody to be a responsible adult and wanted to hold people accountable. That's where you draw the line with the adult in the room.
Look what they did to Jesse Ventura, the one adult in the room that wanted everybody to unionize, and one piece of garbage who still is a piece of garbage that wanted to end that and got people to rally around and getting them out of there.
Yeah, and you can be anything except an adult, a responsible adult. That's the one thing you can't be in a locker room. And I know that from my time playing football, that if you're an adult, can't trust them. And this is coming from a guy who wasn't always an adult. So I definitely know. Yeah. So, but I don't know. It's weird. I tell you what was funny to me. Everybody was giving what's his name, Danielson, a hard time. They're like, well, Danielson's the reason he left, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, well, that's not really the problem. The problem is that the guy who was the boss had to get Danielson in a committee of people to do his job. That's the biggest problem. We kind of have to hand it off to somebody else.
Can I ask you something? Did you think that Punk was going to be at Survivor Series this weekend? Were you surprised?
I didn't. No. I was, but a part of me thought they have to be smart enough to know if he's not there, those people are going to burn the building down. Like, they had to know if he didn't show up, something was going to go wrong.
Yeah, you smell that?
So,
like fire.
Yeah, so it was like somewhere in the middle, but I'm glad he's back. He seems happy. He seems refreshed. The gray is gone. He got a haircut. Yeah. I guess being around adults will do that to you. You don't have to, worry about, it's kind of like when you pull up to work and you like turn the car off and you're sitting in the parking lot, you're like, what is it going to be today? And you just walk inside. I guess he doesn't have to do that anymore.
Yeah. I didn't know how you feel, where you lied on the Punk side, but he looks rested and he looks happy because, in his words, he's home. So I'm looking forward to seeing him on SmackDown on Friday.
What do you think, Craig, about why is the IWC picking that line to draw with CM Punk with all the other terrible crap?
Because it's easier. Because of CM Punk's track record. I was, Derek, before you came on, I was trying to remind folks that when CM Punk, oh man, you dropped me.
Ow.
It was my hair.
Yeah,
heard.
you're all right. You're back.
CM Punk was in the WWE for 11 years and never had one single locker room fight with anyone
Mm-mm.
there.
Mhm.
Not one. So it's easy to point the finger at Punk, say, "Oh, why you want this troublemaker back in the WWE? All it does is start fighting with people." No, he never started a single fight. In his life, it was the people that he was dealing with in AEW, the ones that came into his locker room after he called them out for being children and for not getting Colt Cabana fired. That was the problem.
By the way, also, fuck you, Colt Cabana. Pay for your own goddamn plane ticket. Anyway.
Yeah. But we were saying earlier that Punk being back should be a good news for everyone involved. And I think the only people that would potentially have a problem with it would be people that may or not get a main event slot now that Punk is back. Someone like an LA Knight or a Gunther. How would you, not that they would have a beef with it, but now that Punk's back, it's getting crowded at the top. I mean, because did we notice, as huge as Survivor Series was, with all these big stars, LA Knight wasn't on the card.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns wasn't on the card.
Yeah.
Paul Heyman wasn't there. Solo wasn't there. So all that, and they still did record of business for that one night, and those guys weren't even on the card. So what's going to happen when Punk, when they are there and Punk's there too?
Is he well, I guess they haven't said anything yet. Is he full time?
That's the thing. That's the beauty of CM Punk, and Chris alluded to this earlier. He doesn't have to do anything. If they just give him a mic every 2 minutes on or put him on, that's all you need. He doesn't even have to step in the ring. He could be a manager to somebody. He could be on commentary.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't have to carry a whole show like he was doing on Saturdays.
Exactly. I know because of who he is, he wants to be in the ring, but if the WWE were smart and him, you'd save that for the Rumble. That way he wouldn't have to have a full match if you want to put him in the Rumble, or his first match could be at the Rumble. But
yeah, they're gonna make a lot of money. They're gonna make a lot of money.
Of course. Yes.
Ash says he's a free agent, so
yeah.
Oh, so he can jump shows. And his first night there, him and Seth did what the Bucks and Omega refused to do that whole year that he was out. It took one night for them to do what they refused to do, and it's like they hate making money. I don't know, and it's so easy. And
hey, they beat SmackDown last week. You know that they one time.
Oh yeah, when it was on FS1, right? Or
yeah. Hey, who said AEW was dead?
Me.
Chris.
But think of the people that have left AEW and gone. Where was Cody Rhodes in AEW? He sets foot in WWE, and he's been the biggest babyface in that company since he's been back. Like, no one's even close. And how they treated Jade Cargill better just announcing her than AEW did her whole Goldberg undefeated streak.
And I saw some people got upset because Triple H they asked about Jade, and he goes, we want to make sure she's prepared, so when she comes up to bat, she doesn't see a pitch that she doesn't, that she's never seen before. And people was like, oh well, he's saying AEW did a terrible job with her, and I'm like, they did. They did. You did do a terrible job. And then like,
that's exactly
how
what he said.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if I'm going to invest all this money into you and I see this potential in you, of course I'm going to make sure, you're ready when I throw you out there. And I likened it. One of my friends was like, well, that's stupid. And I likened it to if you draft the franchise quarterback, but you have a veteran on the team, a smart team will put that rookie on the bench, let him hold a clipboard until he's ready to go out there so you don't destroy him when he's out there, like the Jets did with Zach Wilson. So you don't want to spend all this money and all this hype into Jade, and you throw her out there, she falls on her face, and she never recovers. I didn't see what the big deal was, but they put the belt on her and kept her undefeated. So of course they did right by her.
And they spoon fed her. That's why I wasn't such a big fan of hers, because they didn't give her you notice how it was the Jade Cargill women's division, and then there
Yeah.
was the Tony Storm, Nyla Rose,
Yeah.
the Kenny Omega Japanese women division. They kept them
Yeah.
separate.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's interesting that now, to your point, Craig, like, okay, these guys are coming back. Cody's coming back. CM Punk's coming back. Who else will come back in the future? It's a couple of things, I think, psychologically with the audience. One, it's an absence makes the heart grow fonder type thing, right? Oh, these guys have been out doing their own thing for a while, and we're glad to see them back home, right? So that whole narrative plays out really well with the audience. There's a little bit of the sticking it to the competition thing too, right? I mean, this is like, oh yeah, Cody was kind of there, but now he's a big deal here, and now he's a CM Punk's gonna come back and he's gonna rule the roost. It's a little bit of sticking it to the competition too. So
Brian
like,
Pillman,
Brian
Pillman
if you
Jr.
have enough of a name, if you have enough of a name, you're gonna be able, they're gonna get behind you because likely they've had to offer you a good chunk of money to get you back away from AEW. But it's a little, I mean, Vince is gone, but the pettiness is maybe still there a little bit,
Every opportunity that a company has gotten to put the death knell into the WWF, WWE, and they always fuck it up. WCW Junior over here, and this is coming from WCW Mark, couldn't be more clear than that. Better figure it out. I personally think it's too late. And I said it last time, and I'll say it on this episode. The moment they sold and went to TKO, the idea of killing them is over.
Yep.
So for 50 years, 60 years, it was there. That's gone now. So perhaps it's okay to be the other guys. Ratchet it back a bit. If you want to pay these guys money, you've got the money. Of course, go for it. Get the talent you can. But you're not killing that machine now.
No.
Not now.
And
No.
even go ahead.
And at this point, you've mismanaged it so bad that your reputation is shot. Like, it's Impact 2.0.
Yeah.
Right? Or 3.0 or whatever we're on now, right? But whatever. It's TNA. It's TNA. LOL TNA is now LOL AEW.
Go ahead, Derek.
No, I was gonna say, you don't think like Andrade watched Santos Escobar the last 2 weeks on SmackDown and goes, God damn it. Look what he's doing and look what I'm doing. Yeah. You don't think Buddy Murphy and Malachi Black are looking at each other like, we have to get back to our significant others. Like, these are Triple H guys now. And they're like, we know Vince isn't coming back now. It's like, damn. I even think as much as FTR says they love AEW, they have to look at the tag division that Triple H is starting to build and look at, they've wrestled everybody in AEW already. And they have to look and go, well, damn it. But it's too late now. And it's funny you mentioned Cody and these guys, because I think QT Marshall, he's resigning, he's leaving.
Just left,
and he goes, and he said pretty much the same thing Cody said when he left, where this is not the company I thought it was going to be. Like, they're going in a different direction, not the direction I thought they were going to go in, and there's no room for me now. I expect Ricky Starks is going to leave when it's time for him to go. I think Wardlow is going to leave when it's time for him to go. I think Dustin is going to leave to join up with his brother and maybe get a job down at the PC when it's time for him to go. And all because what the original game plan was has completely shifted. And like QT, like they said about QT, they want to be New Japan, America. And I don't think there's much of a market for New Japan America. And I think Tony Khan's going to find out the hard way.
And I would say with QT, him leaving, and it had a lot to do with the same thing that Cody said. But QT still wants to wrestle, and I'm not knocking him, but he's not a name that's going to draw any interest. And kudos to him, because he still wants to. He's leaving because as long as he's in AEW, he's not going to be pushed as a star, even though as oxymoronic as it sounds, AEW does a great job of pushing people that aren't stars. I don't know how many main event matches that Danny Garcia's had, but it's way too many. And if you're pushing a guy like Orange Cassidy and not pushing, you're not giving the undefeated streak to a guy like Wardlow or Hobbs, then you're definitely not going to get what you want in AEW. And the thing with FTR, you had a perfect feud with Juice Robinson and Jay White. Their matches were awesome. You could build that, you can keep that going. But they decided to split them up and make Jay White their single star instead of Juice, another mismanagement. But there's stuff you could do, there's stuff you could have done with FTR. But I hear exactly what you're saying, D-Mac. All those people that you named, I'm sure can't wait to go back. And when Vince stepped down the first time, to his credit, Triple H brought all the people back that Vince didn't want, you know, but worse or better. Worse, obviously, being Hit Row, but the better being, who did he bring back that? L.A. LA Knight, or make Max Dupree something that wasn't, you know, didn't make him the head of the male model agency, make him, you know, the megastar that he is. But and I don't think, Dan, that it was ever the plan for AEW or even Impact to take out WWE, but just set yourself apart from them. That's something that TNA at least did do. Just be a healthy alternative. If you can get big name wrestlers, great. And AEW did. Daniel Bryan, Punk, Edge. That's great. Mox, Jericho. But do something with them. You know, and the stars that you do have, they're on TV for the first time. Fucking train them so they're not dropping people on their heads left and right. Men and the women.
Even Logan Paul has Logan fucking Paul has the wherewithal to catch someone so they don't die. I can't believe I witnessed that. And and I'll say this without forgetting kind of what a F-boy he is. I don't know why it says that, fuck boy. And kind of a prick. I have a whole other, my respect level went up watching that. He knew exactly where to be and exactly what to do. You know why? Training. There's a, hey, what a shocking revelation. I just, again, I said it 13 times in the last 13 weeks. I just keep replaying in my head, Cody Rhodes. We're going to be different. We're going to be different. And as soon as that was abundantly clear that it was not going to happen, I'm going to go back. Going back.
Well, I'm really looking forward to when the NDA is up, because we still don't know why Cody left specifically. We still don't know what happened in the locker room scrum with Punk exactly. Because everything has just been firsthand accounts and eyewitness reports, but never from the horse's mouth. So when this NDAs are over, or hey, I can't wait for the AEW Dark Side of the Ring episode. That's gonna be fun.
I mean, but we still don't know why Regal wanted out of his contract. I mean, he said he wanted to be with his son, but you know, it's probably because nobody wanted to listen to the guy when he was there. If you're not listening to Punk, you're definitely not going to listen to William Regal. There's so many stories I can't wait to hear. So many things, and it seems like you hear stories about, you know, Bret Hart offered he offered to be an agent for them, and Tony Khan passed on Bret Hart being an agent. And it's like, no, what value would Bret Hart bring to backstage?
No.
You know, come on, we have Colt Cabana.
Yeah, well, D-Mac, you remember the interview that Hangnail Adam Page said when he said he feels like he doesn't need to learn anything from the veterans. Is it really
Hangnail Adam Page?
Hangnail, because he's the bitch that started this shit in the first place.
This is all his fault. He did all he did all this
when he went into business for himself. On that promo with Punk, I left that out of the CM Punk story, which started this whole thing in the first place. Hangman Adam Pearce did a promo with Punk in the ring where he went into business for himself, and Punk had no idea what he was going to say, what he said. And that's when, and nothing happened to Page. He didn't get disciplined.
Nope.
But what was I going to say? Yeah,
Ash
Page saying,
Ash said that Dark Side of the Ring episode, just give it 2 years when AEW's out of business.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Page saying that he didn't feel like he needed to learn anything from the veterans. That's symptomatic of the problem with AEW. You have a Bret Hart, you already in your company. You have an Arn Anderson, a Tully Blanchard, a Tony Schiavone. Hey, a guy who was head of talent relations for the largest wrestling company on earth, Jim Ross, there. And Bret Hart offering his services. And none of those people are worth listening to in order to book properly, or to make a storyline, continuity, comprehension. Something happens on TV on one night, and then that same wrestler who got a big victory, we don't see him again for 3 weeks. Or you put a guy through a flaming table and thumbtacks up his ass and strike with barbed wire bats, and he's on TV the next week. Fine.
I mean, something as simple as they had Samoa Joe choke out Keith Lee and then drop the title right after beating Keith Lee. And then a week later, they tried to book Keith Lee as a believable badass. Well, I just saw Joe choke him out. Like, and who wants the belt that Joe just put down and he doesn't want anymore? It's so many things they do that just make no sense. And I don't know if you guys talked about it. Him okaying Hangman Page to drink Swerve's blood in the middle of a match just shows you how crazy that place is. Like, why did you have to okay that? I don't understand anything that man does. That's nuts to me. That they came to him and said, "Hey, I want to drink Swerve's blood," and he goes, "That's a great idea. I like it."
Hey, but they got Ric Flair.
Yeah, right. Got the nature.
If I see that son of a bitch wrestle one match, I will cancel my streaming service just so I don't have to fucking see the commercial. I will cancel Hulu Plus just so I don't have to see that old bastard.
Speaking of old bastard, can I do a segue here?
Yeah.
Because I've been sitting on this for a while, and I'm just so grateful that all 3 of you here, I was going to say all 4 of you, but one of them is me, to talk about this, because this has been killing me, but because I want to talk about this so badly, and I want to talk about it with you guys, because you're the only ones that can get it.
Oh, no.
Derek, Chris, Dan, I saw Iron Claw.
Oh,
okay.
Okay. Yes.
Right.
The Von Erich story has got the big screen treatment. Finally, we've seen the documentaries. We know all about the heroes of world class, but to see it on the big screen is absolutely something else. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, they're all dead. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, they're all gone.
I don't want to. Jeremy Allen White, who plays Kerry Von Erich, phenomenal actor. The thing is, and everyone who played the Von Erichs, I never heard of some of them, but they resembled them like to the T. The guy playing David looked like David, even wore the black hat like David, wore the yellow tights like David. Amazing. Holt McElhenney, who's always been one of my favorite character actors, looks just like Fritz. I mean, they had him dressed like Fritz. The guy who played Ric Flair did a great job. They even had a guy, Nick Nemeth, Dolph's brother, play Gino Hernandez.
That's awesome.
I'm like,
did they cover that whole story arc? What goes on with him?
That's a separate movie, Dan.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
This, for all intents and purposes, is the Kevin Von Erich story, because Zac Efron is the star, and he's pretty much in every scene. but to go back, and this will take place instead of doing Historian, I'm going to talk about Iron Claw because the movie takes place and starts in 1980 and it goes forward to today, and how world class was and how the Von Erichs were. The hard part for me is I'm trying to watch this movie and act like I don't know any of these people. So I'm watching it as a strict movie, a story about a family that happened to be professional wrestlers. The wrestling historian part of me watched it with, well, that didn't happen. They skipped a lot of things here. Rather than talk about
based on a true story.
But here's the thing, Chris. Thank you for saying that. Because after the opening titles, Chris, it said inspired by a true story.
There you go. So kind of like The Blind Side.
Didn't say, but yeah, kind of like Blindside. It's got a true-ish. So in the fact that they got everyone's name correct. But
so they all lived. Okay.
I don't. If you guys want to know anything about the movie, ask me now, and I will tell you. If you don't, I'm not going to say any more other than this was a good movie, shot incredibly well. A24 they always do great jobs with their films, and it looked amazing. Yeah, I just need to talk about it with somebody because it's like, and it's because the movie hits theaters December 22nd, so I got a whole month before it comes out. It's a Christmas. See it for Christmas if you want a feel good story.
See the holiday story that everyone will love about the Von Erichs.
Honestly,
the stories about family and pizza.
It's a heartwarming tale.
the ending is very uplifting, believe it or not.
Okay.
Well, if it's from Kevin's perspective, yeah, I bet it is.
Because it's the Kevin Von Erichs. But if you guys want to know anything about the film, yes.
Was Kevin involved with it at all?
They thanked him at the end. They thanked the entire Von Erich family, but he was not a consulting producer on it. He was not even the choreographer was Chavo Guerrero Jr. And the executive producer in big bold letters, the first name that comes up after the credits or when the credits start, executive producer Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
No shit.
Now he plays Lance, right?
He does.
Is that like a small blurb in the movie, or is that like, because that was like a big deal that they tried to?
It was a big deal in actual. Derek, they don't even introduce him.
Wow.
This.
That's crazy.
And they didn't. They did the same with the Freebirds.
Yeah. Wow.
They just you woke up and you look up and they were just wrestling the Freebirds.
So it's literally the Von Erich story.
Yeah.
I saw Triple H did an interview where he goes, Hayes was upset that they didn't even call him and ask him anything about it. Like they just made the movie, didn't even consult with him.
No.
Wow, that's nuts.
Yeah. Still see it, and that was one of my issues with it. And it's like, oh well, I know who these people are, but I'm looking at everyone. I'm watching this movie with a combination of wrestling fans that know wrestling because of what the product is right now.
Yeah. And
I'm the oldest one in this advanced preview crowd, so I know all of these people. I've seen all these people wrestle before. These younger folks just know wrestling, but they know the name Von Erich. And I'm watching with people that have never heard of these people before in their life. They're there because they're there for an advanced preview of a movie. And before I even went on, one of them, I heard a girlfriend turn to the boyfriend and said, "Is this a true story? Oh, this is true? Really? Wow. Okay." Oh my God. So I'm balancing myself. Yeah. So my issue was one of them is they didn't introduce. They didn't tell you who these people were. A couple of them they did. We got a big tag team match coming out with David and Kevin Von Erich versus Bruiser Brody and Gino Hernandez. And yeah, but other than that, and you hear the person who played Bill Mercer, awesome job. The person who played Ric Flair, awesome job. Even the guy who played Harley Race,
Yeah.
same voice as Harley Race, did the same interview with the same grainy footage from World Class, holding the 10 pounds of gold, and said it doesn't matter if it's it was almost word for word the same interview he did. If it's Dusty Rhodes, Tommy Rich, or any of the Von Erichs, this means that I am the best wrestler on God's green earth. So even the guy they played that had a Harley Race was great. It's about, not to be corny, not to be fast, it's about family, and it focuses on Fritz and him wanting to get his sons into wanting to be world champions. And I've said it on this podcast, and I haven't even said it on another. There was 5 Von Erich brothers. 3 of them were built for the business. Kevin, David, and Kerry. I mean, literally and figuratively, they were put together great. They're all 4-star athletes in high school, college. They belonged in professional wrestling. Mike and Chris had no business being professional wrestlers.
Do they get into Mike and Chris, or are they also like a small blurb in the movie?
Mike was a huge part of the movie. Derek, Chris, Dan. I can finally say this. They didn't mention Chris Von Erich at all. Chris Von Erich is not in this movie.
Wow.
What about the electrocuted son?
Yeah, the oldest.
Yes.
Okay.
He is mentioned. And
so he got top billing over Chris. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And he was the firstborn, right? The one that died in the puddle. Was he?
Yes,
the first
Jack Jr. Yeah.
Yes.
And in the movie, Zac Efron plays Kevin. Said, because somebody asked him, how does it feel to be the oldest? He goes, well, actually, I'm the second oldest. I had a brother, Jack Jr., who was electrocuted, when he was a baby, and he said, I don't really remember it. I just know one day he was here, and the next day he wasn't. So I'm the second oldest brother. But when the movie starts, it picks up in 1980. Kerry is training for the Olympics, because a lot of people don't realize it. Kerry Atkinson was one of the best shot putters in discus. I think he was number 1 discus thrower in the United States when he was 20 in 1980. He was going to the Olympics. He had already qualified, and he probably would have medaled had we not boycotted that summer in 1980. And that was what got him into wrestling when the Olympics were boycotted, because Kerry was a supreme athlete.
Oh, that explains the spinning punch now. All
The
right,
discus
it
punch.
makes sense now.
Yeah.
Yes, it makes sense.
The discus punch, yeah. But he was the number 1 shot putter in the United States in his class in the junior shot put and junior discus.
I heard he was a hell of a shot with a gun too.
Oh my God!
Is that too much?
It is the holidays. It is the holidays, man.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
And no, Dan. Guess what? It was in the movie.
I was about to ask: Do they go into these deaths?
Yeah.
Like, how do they betray David? Do they go with the "I'm sick," or was it the
other one? Yeah.
There's a scene at Kevin's wedding. And he's in the bathroom at his reception, and he hears someone throwing up badly, and he goes, "Oh, yeah, too much." And he opens the door, and it's David, and there's blood all in the toilet. And Kevin's like, "Dude, you need to go to a doctor." He goes, "No, it's just a stomach bug. I got it. It's fine."
Oh, okay.
And they're talking. He goes, "Man, I gotta be here for you, man." And Kevin's like, "Well, David, maybe you shouldn't go to Japan next week." No, man, it'll be fine. I'll be fine. And so they're going with the ruptured intestine story.
I mean, I'm sure it was a ruptured intestine, but not for the.
But not the overdose of pills, or that Bruiser Brody was the one who found him and was flushing the pills down the toilet. when the hotel security was coming into the room. So we're not going with that. They're going with the in ruptured intestine.
Given
Oh, it
that
wasn't
there's so
inspired.
much, given that there's so much missing from the movie, you think
Yeah.
it would have made like a better series, like a 10-part series on somebody's streaming device?
Yeah. And honestly, they didn't do enough with Kerry.
Hmm.
Kerry was the most popular one because they talked about David, and the central part of the film was how Fritz was such a taskmaster with all of his sons,
Hmm.
getting on Mike for everything because Mike
Yeah.
wasn't as strong as his brothers. And even you might have even seen in the trailer Fritz saying, "Well, yeah, well, Carrie's my favorite, followed by David and then Kevin and then
Yes.
Mike." And yeah, but the ratings can always change. You have
Yeah.
to.
So yeah.
So
What a dick.
Yeah.
What a terrible
God
thing to say.
damn,
Yeah.
man.
And then you can hear, and Dan, I can hear. I heard the audible groans in the movie when he would say stuff like this.
Mm.
Like, wow, you say that.
Do they portray the scene the moment between Kevin and his dad right before his dad died with the gun on the porch?
No.
Okay, they don't go that far.
There
All
is.
right, when does the movie end? What year?
It ends this year. No, actually, it ends after Carrie's death.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. Wow.
Yeah. So Carrie died. Fritz was still alive when Carrie passed.
Yeah. Okay.
So is there the whole interaction where Kevin calls and he's begging, is it Kerry? I forget which brother. He's begging him not to kill himself because he's his only brother he has
It's
left.
Kerry.
Like,
Yeah, it was
yeah,
Carrie.
is that's in the
Yeah.
movie?
Yeah. And
Oh,
He races
thing-
up there to try to stop him, and it's too late.
yeah. And the thing about I love Jeremy Allen White. If you've seen The Bear, you know what a great actor he is.
Oh, that's Kerry?
Yeah.
Oh,
And that was my problem, Dan. And I'm trying not to be petty. I'm trying not to be nitpicky.
he's a little
They
guy,
could have
right?
gotten a Kerry Von Erich lookalike to play Kerry, but it's a very good chance the guy couldn't act. Jeremy Allen White is a great actor, but he's smaller than Zac Efron.
Yeah, he's a little guy. Yeah.
And if you saw the amount of muscle that Zac Efron put on to play Kevin, he's in no universe is Kevin Von Erich ever bigger than Kerry, but in this movie he is, and that was distracting to me. And they never played up how big Kerry was, how unpopular Kerry was. They made it seem like after David died, it's like, well, okay, well, who's going to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship? Let's flip a coin, either Kevin or Kerry. It was going to be Kerry no matter what. I mean, that was David's match, the first Parade of Champions in May of '84, because they had already set that up Christmas night '83 when David Von Erich pinned Ric Flair twice in the same night. So the Texas Stadium show was already there for David. And when David died, it was going to be Kerry.
Yeah.
Because and you could see this in YouTube clips, anyone who's ever seen any world-class shows, Kerry Von Erich coming to the ring was in more wrestling matches getting to the ring than he did when he got to the ring. Kevin, Kerry, and David were the Beatles of wrestling. They were rock stars in Texas. I mean, the Six Flags in Texas, I don't know what the name of the Six Flags amusement park is in Texas, but they shut it down.
Great America.
The Great America in Six Flags Great America in Texas. When Kevin, David, and Kerry showed up, they shut it down because the crowd came to them. They had to shut down an entire park because they were there. That's how big they were.
It was called Six Flags Over Texas. I apologize.
Well, I'm glad we got that straight. That was going to keep me up all night, Dan.
Keep me up all night. You know what? God damn it. Fuck you, Craig. I wanted to be factually correct.
But they didn't. I feel in the movie they didn't play up the popularity of Kerry
Mention the ratings again. That'll help.
Well, they did mention that that World Class Wrestling was the most syndicated wrestling product in the United States. It was in more markets than the WWF was before Hulkamania, and that was true. And they had a deal on ESPN before the WWF did. So in that respect, they had a lot of it right, but it was Fritz trying to stick it to the NWA because they never let him have the belt. So he's going to make sure that all of his sons are going to be world champion to let him have the belt. Which is kind of a misdirect because Fritz was the president of the NWA at one point. So
Say, wait a minute.
in the movie, they made it seem like he had an axe to grind with the NWA. They're always keeping me out. He was the president of the NWA. He left because he wanted to start his own wrestling company with his sons in the prominent roles. Great film. Everyone did an amazing job. The guy who played Mike Von Erich, it really pulled that that's the only time I really teared up because I remember after Mike had the toxic shock syndrome and he was in the coma, how he was never really the same, especially in interviews, and you could see him trying to put together and him wanting to be back in the ring. It's like, you shouldn't have been wrestling in the first place, but he's still talking about wanting to be world champion. But I know that was all Fritz is doing. But damn good film. Please see it because I need someone else to talk about this movie with. If you saw the same things that I did, if the same things frustrated you, or if watching it you said, wow, I didn't know it was like that for them. But yes, I saw Iron Claw and I loved it. And as my 3 wrestling brothers, I need you to see it too, just so I can hear from you. Chris, anything you want to know about it?
No, I'll probably just watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking forward to that. And tomorrow, I'm probably going to watch the Heroes of World Class documentary again because
I was thinking about watching that this weekend too.
I need to be sad.
Oh, I had one more question
Yes, sir.
without telling me too much. In the trailer, you see, I think it's Kevin has a conversation with his mom about Fritz being hard on him. Is that the dynamic in the movie where mom's kind of like, it'll be okay, and Fritz is being a hard ass on him?
Yeah. And even when it's evident, where Fritz is being hard on the boys, specifically Mike, the mom would say, "You boys work that out yourselves."
Okay.
Thanks, Ma.
Yeah.
Love you, Mom.
Appreciate the sport.
Yeah. But they mentioned the NWA quite a bit, and how being the NWA champion is really where you get to call the shots. And when they bring in Harley Race and Kevin gets the first shot and he's unsuccessful, so we know that one of the Von Erichs is going to be the new world champion. And it was a great shot of Fritz watching Ric Flair, and they have stock footage from Starrcade '83, 40th anniversary, by the way, earlier this week, of Ric Flair. They made it. We know that he regained the NWA championship at Starrcade, but in the movie, it's like Ric Flair is the new world champion, and you see Fritz in disgust because why were they giving that to Flair and not Kevin or David? So that's where you see him driving his sons to be the NWA world champion. But it's a great advertisement for the NWA, for World Class. Like I said, the guy who played Bill Mercer did an amazing job. He looked just like him. He sounded just like him. Freebirds were in it. Bruiser Brody was in it. Gino Hernandez. The Sheik, if you can believe that. Guy who played, and again, Ric Flair. It's a great look at wrestling and the kind of man Fritz Von Erich was to his sons.
Hey, I just wanted to before I go into the ending of this show, I just wanted to bring up that Henry Kissinger died, everyone.
Really?
Hey.
Really?
Anyway. Sorry. Just wanted-
Yeah.
it made me laugh. I'm a
Sorry,
terrible
celebrating.
person. I don't care.
So
we
is
all
he.
die, folks. He's not special.
Mm-mm.
Hopefully, even though hell is a Christian concept, part of me is hoping that hell kind of exists and Reagan's at the door letting him in.
Yeah, right.
Come
God
on
bless
in.
Jimmy Carter. I saw
God
Jimmy
bless-
Carter on TV.
Yes.
God bless
God
Jimmy
bless
Carter.
Jimmy Carter.
Yes, you see him wearing he went to the
Oh,
funeral
the
of his wife and
blanket,
the
dude.
blanket.
With the
Yeah.
blanket, yeah.
Yeah.
You wish you could
Mm.
have a family that strong, you fuckers. You keep talking shit about Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
You leave Jimmy Carter alone.
He
Like that's
inherited
the most popular one-term president ever. That guy right
he
there.
inherited a fucking mess, but it's his fault. Sure.
God bless his soul. My uncle, my mother's uncle, he would say, he's a Southern man, and he'd be like, I don't trust a lot of white men, but that Jimmy Carter, he's one of them.
You know, if there's one to trust.
I hope I'm your Jimmy Carter, Derek.
Yes, you are, Dan. You are. my
All
Jimmy
right, I'll
Carter.
take it.
You're my Jimmy
You know
Carter.
what? The rest of the world doesn't matter if that's the case. Ashton wanted me to let you know, Craig. I guess I'm chopped liver. Thanks, Craig. You were mentioning
Yep.
us, but you didn't mention her because she was part of this.
My brother and my brothers and sister wrestling. You're the only people I can talk to. Ash, you're part of the family. You're part of us. Part of me.
And he goes, she goes, I have Googled Craig. I can read Craig. I went to college, Craig. I know how to do research, Craig. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was based on a true story.
Allegedly, okay.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
And narrated by John Larroquette.
Yes. Don't forget that.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know
Yeah, that's
that.
John Larroquette doing the voiceover at the very beginning. And
That was his first acting gig, yes.
and it's him on the reboot
On the
from the
reboot.
mid 2000s narrating the same thing.
Really?
John Larroquette again.
John Larroquette.
I have something I didn't know about my wife until the last year and a half is Uber John Larroquette fan does not cover it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She loves that man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I have a new respect for John Larroquette because of his demons and his battles and him getting through it and how many awards he won on Night Court and this cool show called The Librarians. He got 4.
Mhm.
4 straight Emmy wins for
4
John
straight.
Larroquette for
Wow.
Night Court. 4 straight.
Wow.
We've been going back and watching it. She's watched more than me because I'm just like ADHD. I can't. But that show is still solid.
Yes.
He's one of the highlights on the new one, which the whole nother
Mhm.
podcast. And just The Librarians is this cool show I didn't know existed. I'm like, oh, I'm sure Craig's seen it like twice. Yeah, of course he has.
Yeah. Well, he's good in everything. The thing about
I was
John
gonna say he's
Larroquette.
good in everything, and I always
Yeah.
forget air quotes forget he's in Stripes.
Yeah.
He plays the disgusting
Yeah.
pervert.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. And I'm like, oh, but Ric Flair has a career. That's interesting. All right, see
Right.
how I
Yeah.
brought it
Ric
back around?
Flair. Still kicking.
Yeah, but fuck CM Punk, I guess.
Yeah. Right.
It just was driving me crazy. Gentlemen, did anybody else have anything to add before we pimp out of here?
Thank you guys for joining us. Seriously, it's sad that CM Punk coming back and get all of us back together again, but I'm glad he did. Seeing all 3 of you guys together again for the first time, it feels great. Thank you for joining us, Derek. I know you had a long day
No problem.
today.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah, I could tell. I could tell. You can always say no, but rocking,
No, this is my I look forward to this because now when I get off the phone, I'm gonna watch repeats, I guess, of my 600-pound life with Tamara till she falls asleep and then the TV's mine. So hope
you
she
give
can
that
hear
woman
me.
what she wants.
Yeah, I guess she's the boss, man. She runs this
Yeah,
place. She's the boss.
You and I know where our breads are buttered. I know Chris does, and I know Craig does too. I know.
Yeah. It's funny when Randy Orton came out, right? When he came out at Survivor Series, she was in the room and she was like, "Oh my God!" And I was like, "Okay,
All right, after
take
that.
it
Oh,
easy."
settle the
Oh.
fuck down.
All right.
Settle
right.
down. Yeah. John Larroquette's like a foot taller than me, and she goes, "Oh," I'm like, "All right,
All right,
I
all
get
right.
it. I get it, Miss Six."
I'm
And
good
I
enough.
always, but listen, I'm pretty. I always used to say she's 5'11", But then when I first started working where I'm working, she met one of my doctors who is also 5'11", and she's an inch taller. And when she leaves, Kevin goes, "Dude, I think she's 6 foot tall. She's taller than me. I'm 5'11". I was like, nice,
Nice.
all right,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Also, we forgot to mention, and I'm doing this for Ash as well. The return of returns, Mr. Ron Killings, Mr. R-Truth himself,
Oh,
former
national
NWA
champion.
World Heavyweight Champion, the title belt that should have never been held by Tyrus or Tyree, whatever the fuck his name is, douchebag. Which will lead me into the other thing. I'm so happy. I will watch R-Truth read a book.
Yes.
Yes.
I hope he has a
love that
job for
man.
life. Yes, I hope he's always
doesn't,
there.
If he doesn't, there's no justice in the world. I mean, there is no
Yes.
justice in the world.
And
But
the thing is, if he does have a job for life, he'll still look the exact same age he is right now.
yeah, dude.
51. That is nuts.
God damn, dude. That led me to the other thing. I'm going to end everything with this. The NWA is in trouble. I know that sounds funny saying that in 2023. I don't know if you know this, but they lost their CW deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they enacted booger snot. What is it called?
Yeah.
Booger
sugar.
Snot candy? Booger sugar. That's it.
Booger sugar.
Ash said that earlier, and I immediately ADHD forgot it. You had Tyrus, which you pushed to the moon with no ability and no talent, and his very outward, very hateful. Like, listen, this is not cancel culture. He was very open about it.
Yes.
Now you deal with that consequence. They asked. He has been begging Mr. Corgan, who I love as an artist, as a wrestling promoter. He's just another wrestling promoter. He's been begging Effie. And if you don't know who Effie is,
yes,
I know a few of you do. If you don't, Tyrus the Troglodyte. Thank you, Ash. That's good. Fuck you. Thank God we had Naomi out of that. God, it was worth my time. Effie is like, and I'm saying this literally, the gayest pro wrestler you've ever seen. Without doing the normal stereotypical spots. That happens, but he's a wrestler too.
Yeah,
and he's good at what he does.
Yep.
He's very good on the mic, and he is a name on the end. He's probably the top. If he's not top one, he's at least the top 3 indie stars in the world right now. Like the wall separating him from TV is about that thin. And that wall was going to be NWA because Billy has been trying to. I'm sorry, Mr. William Patrick Corgan has been begging him to get there, and every time he said no, and he had other people in the company call him, and he absolutely said, "Fuck you, I'm not doing it." And Billy was like, "Well, Tyrus isn't here anymore." He's like, "Yeah, but you still strapped that rocket to him, knowing what he was saying, going on those shows saying what he was saying." And now you want me to come in and save you? Go fuck yourself.
Yes, which is very admirable. Yeah.
He is bleeding money, and I mean Billy. Like, full marks for trying with NWA. If it dies, it dies, but I really don't want that to happen. But the man has put a lot of money into it, and he's not getting any back.
Nope.
So it's in trouble. So I wanted to leave everybody with a nice, happy feeling. I'm also Henry Kissinger's dead. Goodbye, bitch. Derek's not on social media. Don't bug the man. Chris.
You can find me on Twitter at Omega Squad.
Mr. Lagons.
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at Craig Lagons, CraigLigeons.
Sorry, Miss McDonald was saying hello. Hello.
Yes, the boss was saying bye, Dan. Yeah.
I heard it.
Okay.
You have nothing to worry about, Derek. I love you guys. You guys are great. Which reminds me, I do have to send her pictures of the puppies. I haven't sent to anybody else.
Oh yes, Tamara, he has puppies.
He has puppy pictures.
He's gonna send you pictures of his puppies. They're all excited. Yeah.
So,
Jerry
and I
Lawler.
don't mean my
Did Jerry
shirts.
Lawler get here? What?
Yeah.
All right.
Puppies.
This you have to pay. This everybody has to pay for.
You have to pay for these.
You have to pay for these. I'll do it, but you got to pay me. I know no shame, but my shame comes with a cost. Green or sandwiches? Not that hard. Speaking of puppies, so is Phyllis right next to him, but it's between a cage because, like I said, she has not. I have never seen her bare her teeth, the little teeth that she has. So it's really funny to see her go. And then I look at her and go, "Good girl, you tell him what the line is. Don't let that man touch you." You can follow Albert, Phyllis, and myself on all social media. Ash threw me off again. Poke rolls. All social media platforms. DanLaw83. It was a pleasure to see everyone again, gentlemen. Derek, Chris, Craig. Craig, you and I will be back next week. Derek, of course, the door is open for you anytime we're on. Hang on after the show because I have a thing I want to say. For the rest of you, it's none of your goddamn business. For Craig, Derek, and Chris, I'm Dan. I'm hilarious as hell. That's why I'm above average. Keep it on the paper.